And we are live with Daniel Hill. It's Dr. J here in the house with Beyond Wellness Radio. Daniel's on the podcast today. We're going to be talking about different techniques to address anxiety using EFT, tapping, NLP, and a whole bunch more. So excited to have Daniel on the podcast. Daniel, how you doing?
I'm all good, Dr. J. How are you?
Hey, very good, very good. And by the way, if anyone's listening, we're putting links for Daniel's website, as well as if you want to schedule a consult with him, there's going to be a link right down below where you guys can click and schedule worldwide on that. Awesome. All right, Daniel, so let's dive in. I mean, you see patients all over the world with lots of anxiety issues, mental health issues, and your approach is different than the conventional talk therapy or, medically try to numb out what the issue is, right? You're trying to get to the root underlying issue from a psychological standpoint. Someone walks into your office or jumps on your call with you, Skype, and chats with you. What's the first thing you're trying to do or assess when someone has a goal of trying to address some chronic anxiety issues?
So we are gauging it, first of all. We're assessing how bad it is. Some people will come with quite chronic issues. Other people will think it's quite chronic, but actually, when you use unconscious tools on the unconscious mind at an unconscious level, things begin to shift, because a lot of the issues that we have, we might think that it's going round and round and round in our head, but it's not really conscious. And so the difference between what I do and what conventional people do in treating people, treating issues that are with just natural talking therapy, which is just consciously talking about things, we're getting deep into the unconscious. Why is the unconscious behaving badly? Why is it giving us these bad thoughts and feelings? And when we get to that level at the deep unconscious place, you can create change.
Yeah, let's say you are walking by a forest and someone had maybe been attacked by a bear in that area, it's natural that your nervous system remembers that. There's a limbic response that's deep in the subconscious. And when you start walking by there, you're going to feel maybe a little bit of anxiety. Even though that situation may be rare, maybe a 1 in a million, just kind of like a shark attack thing, but your limbic system and your nervous system are hardwired, ready to go. And so how do you find the balance of, hey, my nervous system should be on alert, right? Because we don't want that issue to happen again. But at the same time, it's probably the odds of that happening are pretty low. How do we strike the balance and get our nervous system to fire off appropriately versus inappropriately?
So we've got to look at stress and anxiety. So stress is an external force that's put upon us, and anxiety is an internal force. So it's something that's coming from our mind. I always find it amazing where some people will, go rock climbing like without a safety rope. I've been working on my mind for years. I wouldn't do that. It's
Right.
amazing what you can do. You'll find one person is afraid of one phobia and then not another. Or I even found out Lewis Hamilton, the Formula One driver, has a phobia of onions. I mean, he'll drive at 200 miles an hour. It's really dangerous what he does, but he's afraid of onions. That doesn't make any sense. So
Right.
you've got to get to the difference between why is somebody struggling. So I treat a client, not a disease. I just, what's going on? You have to become a detective. What's going on here? We've got to solve the murder. We've got to solve the problem. So what's going on in somebody? And then we use a variety of techniques in order to be able to make that better.
And obviously, if someone's diet's crummy or they're not sleeping,
Right.
Or they're just avoiding a lot of things, obligations in life that they should be doing, right? There's going to be physical, chemical, emotional stressors that should be addressed. That anxiety is a natural provocation. It's a natural response. But we're talking about people, they're trying to live their life. They're doing well with their diet. Maybe they're doing some functional medicine support. Maybe they're getting to sleep on time. They're hydrating. They're avoiding a lot of processed food. But there's still a little bit of anxiety there. So we work on the chemical stress, maybe some of the physical stress, but then we have this emotional stress, right? And how much of the stress is it happening in the conscious brain, thoughts that are consciously being thought of, or how much is it unconsciously there?
It's a good question. I think it's been said that the unconscious perhaps runs us as much as 91, 92, 93%. I would say it could even be as high as 99.999. I really work a lot with the unconscious. It's an amazing thing. We're completely programmed without even realizing it. We have so many different things deeply embedded inside of us that just happen all by itself. And when we get stressed or when we're anxious, you can still affect things using unconscious tools. Even just thinking about it from an NLP perspective, that's neuro linguistic programming. You may have heard of that before. It's helping you to get your mind work for you rather than have your mind use you. So you're looking at designing the life that you wish to experience using your brain. When we're doing stress and anxiety, our brain is using us. It's warning us. It's saying we can't live like this. This is really bad. We're at threat right now, and it's good because there's people who don't have who've had brain damage, and they lose the ability to do fear. You'd think, wow, they must have amazing lives because they'd be able to massively move forward in life. No, they struggle. I've seen documentaries on it.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
We need to have a warning. They've got no warning. They've got nothing to prevent them from doing things
Right.
that you and I and the rest of the world would
Right.
go, I'm not so sure about taking that action. So it's useful, but when we're moving forward, it's not that we don't ever not have stress and anxiety come into our lives, but it's how we respond to that. And a lot of the time it's asking better questions of yourself. So if you're struggling, it doesn't matter whether it's anxiety or stress or whatever the issue is. Okay, so this is your problem, this is your challenge, but what is it that you would like to experience instead? And then you've got to focus on that outcome and ask yourself questions in order to move towards it. So there's a away from goals and towards goals. And away from goal is I need to get away from the stress and anxiety. And there's towards goals, which are anything that you wish to experience: peace, abundance, happiness, health, well-being. Well, how can we move towards those? And if you use open-ended questions, what, when, where, who, how, and then the very thing that you wish to experience, let's say health, I often tell clients, imagine the very thing that you would like to be experiencing. Can you make that as big as like the Hollywood sign? You know, the Hollywood sign, which is
Hmm.
white and huge. Well, make that health. Turn the Hollywood signs. It doesn't say Hollywood anymore. It says health. Okay. Can you see that? Close your eyes. Look at that in your mind. Now ask yourself questions that will help you to move towards that. Now you might have to do this quite a number of times because the brain is wired in a certain way where it'll just stay with the unfamiliar, with the familiar. So if you're not very well and you're struggling with health is something that you are then moving towards. Peace is something that you're moving towards if you're struggling with anxiety and stress. So you've got to be moving towards the very thing that is pulling you, and then you are pulled towards that thing.
Makes sense. And I know you have a couple of tools in your tool belt that work profoundly well. We can kind of go into just a
Sure.
general summary, but you have EFT, which is essentially tapping on various meridian points to release subconscious stored energy. Like the theory is that a lot of these traumas or these, let's just call them neurological kind of pathways where that memory, that action potential runs, that we can disrupt that with tapping on some of these meridian points and helping to allow that energy to flow better. Some of that is also NLP, which is, you know, you are educated by Dr. Bandler. Bandler is phenomenal because he's always said, how do high performers think? What are the pictures in their brain when they perform optimally? Because we think in pictures, not words. And what kind of pictures can we put in our brain to do pattern interrupts when we start having stinking thinking? I know Bandler will do the stop sign, or he'll really change the thinking, the pictures in the brain, and for pattern interrupts as well as good things of what you want to create. A lot of times, you said people are more focused on the pictures of what they don't want than what it is they want, and they don't have
Yeah.
good tools to do pattern
Yes.
interrupts. So I wanted to just
Yeah.
allow you just to give a general summary of each of those tools, and then maybe pretend like I'm a patient with this issue and we can do a general workup.
Okay, so first port of call, I often do tapping. When people first come to see me, I think a lot of people in life are heavily traumatized without even realizing it. So they're carrying a lot of emotional baggage. So it's stuff that they've been through. Might be relationship breakups. It might be stuff from childhood. It might be little traumas. It might be big traumas. I think people sometimes come to see me and they go, "Oh, well, I've had nothing really massively traumatic happen to me," and I'm like, "Well, that's okay." But it's a lot of people carry just stuff. We don't really release stress, and so something like EFT, which is a tapping technique, works it's a cross between sort of psychotherapy, hypnosis, and acupuncture. If you've never come
Hmm.
across it, you can just call it tapping. There's loads of videos out there. It was my first port of call when I first came into this and had an almost euphoric experience because I was very toxic, like lots of people are when they come into this work, because we're carrying old things. And I'll sometimes say to clients, um, write me a peace list, and this is a peace list. This is all things that you would like to make peace on in your life. And people will write me lists, and they're often like, eights, nines, tens, and I don't have that going on in my life. I'm sure you don't. But a lot of people will, and that's going to cost you a lot of energy. Then, if you're going to get triggered by a car pulling in front of you, you're going to have a almost road rage response because you're just being triggered because you're just carrying so much stuff. So that's one of the first things. I also do something called EMIT, which is eye movement integration therapy.
Hmm.
So
Is that
just
like
by
EMDR?
it's very similar to EMDR. So it was born really from NLP, which I'll go into in a second. Um, but I've talked about this before. So it's basically memory. If you go into your memory, like if I was to say, what was I doing last night? I'd go up here to sort of look for it. If I was going to create something and I was really afraid of it, like, oh my God, I don't want that to happen, you're going to be looking up here. So as we move eyes and we talk at the same time in certain ways, we are able to access all different parts of our unconscious and we're able to release it. Some people will have deep trauma and they'll go and just do EMDR or EMIT. And again, you're making those tens, nines, and eights into three or below. So you're not
Hmm.
carrying this enormous emotional weight. NLP is another massive part of what I do. Neurolinguistic programming. It's an enormous subject, which is in simple terms, it's helping you to use your mind rather than have your mind use you. So yes,
Hmm.
it's the study in the 1970s. It was the studies of exceptional therapists who are all working slightly differently. And then a man called Richard Bandler and I've forgotten the other co-creator. It will come to me. John Grinder ended
Yeah.
up studying these people, and they were going, but they're all getting results, but they're going about it in different ways. And just through researching them, they ended up realizing that there was a breakdown in someone's perception of their reality,
Hmm.
and a breakdown is a breakthrough, so that you are literally um, decompartmentalizing what's going on in someone, and then you're able to reform and compartmentalize again, so that you have a higher operating software. It's like your computer. If your computer was really lagging, it's because it's running old stuff. It's downloaded cookies and Trojan horses and goodness knows all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And
Right.
you so you could say that the EFT, the tapping technique, and the EMIT is giving it a good defrag. It's cleaning it. It's getting rid of all those old programs and the old stuff that's there. And by NLP, we're making the operating software improve. It's basically just helping the whole system to run better again. Um, you're going
And
to
so
say?
when you talk about when you interact with someone and their traumas or their anxiety, do you address the pictures that they're seeing in their mind when a lot of these things happen? How much are you looking at the pictures and what they're seeing?
Aha. Well, that's a great indication of how your brain works, because not everybody's brain works visually. Some people are very kinesthetic, which is the feeling. So if you think we've got
Mhm.
five senses. So visual, auditory. Some people are extraordinarily auditory, kinesthetic, and then you've got smell and taste. And it mostly is. I think most people around the world would see things first, but they would talk about it. It's even in people's language. Can't you see what I'm doing for you? Have you not seen the big picture? Just
So you're trying to figure
look
out
at what
how
I'm
they're
saying to you.
you're trying to
Well,
figure out how they're taking in that sensory input. How is it?
absolutely.
Got it.
Most human beings are VAK, which is visual, auditory, kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic.
But
Yeah.
some people are wired very differently. I'm very kinesthetic. So often I will close my eyes and I can see things, and then I'll feel it. The auditory is important, but I'm probably more VKA. So and then for other people, their sense of smell or the sense of taste, it's like with blind people, how their senses are so much more heightened, and sometimes um, very different to how they're reading the world. So
And so how
often
does
I'll
that
use
look?
the word sense.
So someone comes in, right? You assess kind of where there are priorities and how they have sensory input, how they take in the outside world in regarding that priority of senses. What does that look like? And then how do you rewrite that program, rewrite that software if the software coming in is not serving that person? Let's say what they're hearing is not serving, or let's say the images or
Yeah.
what they touch or feel puts them into that fear state, that sympathetic state. How do you rewrite that?
Well, we're always looking at somebody's map of the world. There's something which NLP talks about, which is the map is not the territory. So your experiences from your whole life, from maybe even being in womb, you were downloading things at an unconscious level then, to your formative years, all the way to an adult. This is how you're sensing the world, and this is your model of the world. And everybody's model of the world is absolutely unique, completely and utterly unique. So you're looking at going into that world, which is a map, and you're saying, what is it that you wish to do?
Hmm.
And they might be going, well, I can't climb that mountain because my map says we don't go there. And then you'd be looking at why that is. There's always going to be a limitation. So the unconscious is always stuck in what it knows. It doesn't really like, when we get to adult age, it doesn't really like change. So we're often running old operating software based on childhood, because that's where we learn the most, and your brain is expanding and growing. It's been said that we don't develop consciousness, I think it's to about the age of 12, fully conscious till about the age of 12, 13, something like that. What the hell does that mean? So you're completely unconscious up to about that age? Yeah, kind of. You're a big sponge, because I've done this for nearly 18 years now, and it's always someone's limitation is always based on their belief system. Beliefs are generalizations, distortions, and deletions. Now we can do that positively, and we can do it negatively. So when we're moving towards peace, resourcefulness, abundance, relaxation, great relationships, all these things, it's asking yourself how you can do that. And then when you work with someone like me, we're busting through the unconscious limitation that is blocking you from doing it. Like if the map, I can't get to the mountain. I can't get to the mountain. Why can't you get to the mountain? Well, the mountains are scary. There's a lot of swamps there. I can't go through that. And it's just helping people clear the resistance. But if you use your brain enough, and here's something else which is really important. If you use your brain enough in the correct way, you start creating a positive neuroplasticity. So the anxiety and the stress that we're experiencing is almost, you have to learn to begin to not trust that, because it's based on old stuff. And if you would like to get to the mountain, or peace or whatever that is that you deeply wish to experience, it's going to require part of your old map of the world to become different, which is a scary thing. But you have to go through it. It becomes a process. It's a transformational thing, like a caterpillar to a butterfly, which is an interesting analogy as well, because apparently the caterpillar will resist the transformational process. Some part of the cells in the caterpillar will actually fight the transformational experience because it's a caterpillar. That's all it knows. But that's its destiny, is to become the butterfly. And I'm a transformational life coach because I'm always looking at transforming whatever the limitation is and converting that to what it is on the other side, the opposite of that. It's a crude way of saying it, but I say, the crap that we go through is the manure for tomorrow, because
Yes.
that becomes whatever we're going through, all of these crappy feelings, all of the negative stuff. Actually, when we expose it enough, it can begin to break down, like what would happen with excrement. And within that, there are vital things. I wouldn't have become who I am if I hadn't have gone through the most horrendous things in my life. But
Yeah.
it's gifted me something, and it's gifted me a strength. And it's like, the butterfly, it hasn't just become the butterfly, it actually has to go through something. And interestingly, it goes into a cocoon and it has to fight its way out of the cocoon. And if you make it any easier, guess what? It won't be
Yeah.
strong enough in order to survive in life. So there is
Mhm.
something that's inbuilt within us, which is it's within our nature in order to overcome challenges, to become stronger. There's a quote by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and I can't remember the whole quote, but it's this: the most beautiful people in the world have known struggle, known loss, known defeat, and they have found their way out of the depths. These people have a kindness and a sensitivity. Beautiful people do not just happen.
And that's part of life, is all about the contrast, right? Yesterday's lows will bring you to tomorrow's highs, and you only appreciate the spring because you went through the winter, right? So you need that contrast. It's important that we look at the contrast that we go through and not be a victim. We have to look at whatever we can take accountability for, whatever the lesson is, learn the lesson, because life just tends to give you that lesson over and over again in different permeations, and you'll just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And it's very
until you
easy
le- until you learn to listen.
until you learn to
What
listen. Yeah, and it's very easy if you're the victim. That lesson just comes over and over and over and
if you don't
over.
want to listen?
So how do
Don't want to
you?
listen.
Right, you talk about the crap you went through yesterday is the manure that allows things to grow and expand in your life tomorrow. How do you get people that you're working with to take accountability for whatever they can? Now,
I was just
sometimes
about to say that word.
and there may not be, you may be driving down the street following all the road signs and a drunk driver hits you. It's hard to be like, yeah, I'm accountable for that, right? Because I was doing everything perfect, right? There are truly victims in this world, but at
Mhm.
the same standpoint, maybe the accountability is I'm just going to fix my life where I'm at now. That's the
In
accountability, is where
in
I'm at now,
this,
I'm going to fix it.
so it works in this sentence. It may not be your fault that you are like this and you're struggling in this way, but it's most certainly your responsibility to
Your
change it.
responsibility, change it, right?
And so if you can take that 100% responsibility, it's empowering. It's really empowering, because we could all say we're victims. We've all had things happen to us, whether it's from childhood, all the way through our whole lives. We can all, everyone can tell a story. Everyone can tell a story of woe, but equally, you can tell a story of triumph. And this is another important thing, which I'm going to talk about, which is, if you're struggling with anxiety and even depression, whatever the challenge is, how much time do you spend in the outcome that this is no longer a problem anymore? I bet most people would say hardly any at all. If you can, and I'm telling you, your teachers at school probably said, Justin, wake up, don't daydream at the back of the class. I'm telling you to daydream, because when you're doing that, you're dropping into states of alpha and theta, which is a kind of hypnotic state. Well, it is a hypnotic state. You know, you're able to change in those places. When we're talking right now, I'm in the state of beta, like Justin is. When we're in deep sleep, we're in delta. But in between those, you've got alpha and theta. Now, if you spend time imagining that this problem that you've got, this challenge, has now been resolved, it's all fixed. Spend time doing that. Now, use VAK, which is visual. You can maybe close your eyes, or if you're just daydreaming, you can still just daydream away. Visualize that being all sorted. It's all taken care of. It's all fine. Do it auditorily. What people saying? Are people saying to you, "That's amazing. You've transformed. My goodness." Like, what are you saying to yourself? I'm really proud of myself. I've really come quite a long way. What are you feeling? Are you feeling like really relaxed now? Are you feeling sort of joyful and upbeat? And you're feeling, wow, my God, I've overcome that. What else could I overcome? So if you spend as much time in that way, it's rather like if you watched an action adventure movie and instead of sitting down to watch the whole 2 hour thing, you just watch the last 10 minutes. What happens in every action adventure movie in the last 10 minutes? What happens? The hero
Ideally,
or the
the hero
heroine
wins. Yeah, the good guy wins.
and they're
Typically,
or good girl,
good girl. Yep.
and they they're probably overcoming their last challenge in the last 10 minutes, and you see them overcome their last challenge, and then it's like happy ever after, isn't it? Or sort of, or at least sort of, they're celebrating in the fact
Yep.
that they've won, they've done it. Okay, so
Exactly.
if you can spend as much time in the place that this is all being resolved, it's all okay. You're then coming from that place unconsciously, knowing, because the unconscious is literally responding to stimulus and what you're thinking about, and then you're more resourceful because if you watch that movie, let's say you saw the last 10 minutes, it would ruin a movie, of course, but you watch the last 10 minutes and it's all okay. You imagine every time that hero or heroine is going through their challenge, whether it's, you know, Lara Croft in Tomb Raider or Liam Neeson in Taken, you know, he's always fighting the baddies.
Yep.
You're not gonna be as frightened that the hero or the heroine is gonna come a cropper. You know, they're gonna be killed or something terrible is gonna happen, because you know it's all gonna work out. If you can do this for yourself, then you become the hero or heroine of your own reality. And then you're literally programming yourself to be a victor, not a victim.
100%. And so with the accountability aspect, if people are coming to you and they look like a victim, or they're usually people that are coming to you probably are already in a state of accountability because they're reaching out, right? They're making
Correct.
an investment. So
That's
I
right.
think just the fact that they're already reaching out and making that investment probably puts them more in the accountability
Yes, it does.
camp automatically, right? Because they wouldn't be
Yes.
seeking you out, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that makes sense. So you kind of self-select just through the people that are already overcoming that obstacle to reach you. So now I'm this
Yeah.
person. I'm reaching to you. I'm reaching out. We're chatting. Just give me that. Like, give me a couple of things that we can do right now, maybe in this last 5 minutes, to address this chronic anxiety. Just walk me through it.
Okay. So we would do what the first thing I would do, I would teach them tapping if they don't know already, and we would
Yep.
be tapping through it.
And are we going to just do some of the meridians on the face? I like the double tap. I feel like it's more efficient.
Yeah. I do double tapping as well sometimes. So yeah. So okay, if you don't know what this is, just go along with, just rate your stress first and foremost. That's always rate your stress out of 10. 0 being zen like calm, 10 being hugely
Let's say
stressed.
I'm
Rate
7
it.
out of 10. 7 out of 10.
Excellent.
Would you mind just going over the acupuncture points to tap on?
Okay. All right. So
Just a brief review on that.
all right. So each one is related to different organs in the body. They're all different types of meridians. They're all related to emotions that we are feeling. But if we suspend all that and just go into it and just do some tapping, just see how you feel after a couple of rounds. Okay, so rate your stress right now.
Well, we're going inside of the eyebrow, outside,
Yeah,
under the
so
eye, under
I'm
the
doing top of
nose,
the head, main
chin,
meridian. All right, first part of the
collarbone,
eyebrow. This is a
armpit.
good one for trauma. First part of the eyebrow. We're doing together. We're doing here. Okay. Side of the eye. This one's good for anger, rage, anxiety under the eye, Okay, we're doing top lip and chin point. You can do them together. You can double tap. You can use one. That doesn't really matter. We're doing this. Okay, well, this is for embarrassment. This is for shame. Then we're doing another anxiety point. This is collarbone. I just usually take 4 fingers, something like here. If you're doing, you're going to get it around here. It's just below your collarbone. There's my collarbone. It's going all the way down here. There's the collarbone. It's just below it. But if you just tap around here.
Yeah, if you got 3 fingers, you're going to hit it.
I'm doing 4. So yeah, you're going to hit it. Okay. And then the last one here, which is under the arm. Ladies, that's your lower bra strap. Gentlemen, just imagining where that is. So it's just about here. It's in central line with the nipple, really, just under. So I'm taking 4 fingers. Okay.
Here.
And just tapping there. That's connected with the spleen, fear of the future. Sometimes you could be tapping one point and it will really work and really clear it. Okay, so I'm going to teach you another one as well. So write down. So you've got ring finger, little finger. Okay, so just down there, about 2 centimeters in, or whatever, you can just press in. If I put my hairy hand there, so you can see there, and I'm going to take 2 fingers. Okay, taking 2 fingers. This is another, it's a central meridian. It means it just works on so many things and it's connected with the heart. Triple warmer, sanyal, the 9 gametes. We're tapping that point as well. When we do that, we are often doing eye movements as well. So if you just look to the side, you look to the side.
And the eye movements are getting different parts of the brain going, left to right brain. So we're trying
memory and future thoughts, future visions.
So if this is the neurological pathway that's normally used to firing for anxiety, and we create a new path that goes this way, then that's going to start to dissipate a lot of the feelings of anxiety, because we're creating a new pathway where those anxiety feelings aren't used to being fired.
That's
neurologically,
right.
Correct?
If you think about anxiety, it's got nothing to do with the present moment. Present moment is stress. Anxiety is, oh my God, this might happen. So we're thinking about the future. So if you're going into using the eye points, so you're actually thinking about a future scenario that doesn't exist, but your unconscious is attempting to prevent that from happening.
Now, what should we be thinking about when we do the tapping on here? Like for me, I sometimes when you're in a situation and you're stressful, it's hard to talk about what it is you want. It's easy to just talk about this stressful thing. Like, hey, I'm experiencing this stressful situation.
So a really simple one is just think of one word and think of maybe a feeling word. So it might be stress, it might be anxiety, but sometimes just go find another word. So I'm going to go stress, anxiety, overwhelm.
And you're going to be thinking about maybe the image of that thing. I don't know. Maybe it's my kids are driving me crazy, right? I'm thinking about my kids. I'm thinking about anxiety. I'm thinking about the timeouts. I'm thinking about the tantrums, right? You're thinking about that while you're tapping, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to get that emotional level, like we talked about, maybe a 7 out of 10. We're trying to bring that down. So we're thinking about the emotions while we tap.
If you find that you're not getting as far as you would like, break it down. You're probably very toxic. There's a lot going on, and it's like you're thinking, well, this little technique's going to solve all of my issues and all the things that I've never made peace on in the whole of my life. So just be specific. So it's a corny way, but they say for results that are terrific, you must be specific. So just go into really basic things. So really specific. So if you are afraid and you're anxious, give me one thing that you're afraid of. It might be money worries, for example. It might be a fear of not having enough money, fear of not having enough money. And you could literally just say that over and over, this fear of not having enough money, this fear of having enough money.
Yeah.
But then what does that mean? If you haven't got enough money, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I'm not going to be able to eat.
I'm not going to be able to eat. I'm going to end up living in my car. And you can just keep following it. And you can say this stuff. Oh, I won't be at a mortgage. My wife might leave me. I'll lose the kids. I won't have access to the kids. It's this snowball thinking. So it's like one little bit of stress.
You pull one little string and the whole sweater unravels, right?
Yeah. And we're kind of going into this complete place where we can't cope. We're just thinking of this future scenario is just, it's worst case scenario, homelessness. It's, and often it's linked to death. So if I'm homeless, then I'm dead. Or it go to such a deep place where we become so afraid that something will happen that actually my life won't even be worth living. So it's linked to sort of very Neanderthal deep um, survival instincts.
I like that. So
So
now you
just
start to get that 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10.
yeah,
Our beingness, we're feeling better. What's the next step? Because a lot of times there may be behavioral patterns that are still poor. For instance, I can be stressed out about the weeds in my yard. I can now get the weeds pulled. But if you don't put something in place on that empty soil, weeds may grow back. So, what does the
right.
next step look like?
So it's you could say just gauge now. Sort of, well, you're a 7 out of 10. You now got now a what? Now maybe a
Yeah.
5, maybe a
Yeah. I'm,
6.
I'm, I'm a
Okay,
4. I'm feeling good.
okay. What is it that you do wish to experience?
That's a great question. I wish to experience peace, harmony.
Excellent.
Now, some of these things may not be dependent upon me, though, too, right? It may be dependent upon the other person, how they interact or how they act back, too.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
then get even more specific. So, if so, give me an example with that. Then, so
I wake up, right? And I get my kids a nice breakfast ready. And then one of them wants more stuff and more stuff. And we got to head out the door and we're already late. And they need to get in the car and they're just demanding more. And now they're having a little tantrum because they're not getting what they want. But I just
so
want to get in the car and go to school and have peace and flow.
peace and flow. Okay, so close
Yeah.
your eyes for a second. Visualize peace and flow. First thing that comes in. First thing that comes in your unconscious.
A stream of
Excellent.
water flowing.
A stream. And how would a stream deal with this?
It just keeps on going.
Keeps on going. Okay. What does that mean?
– Keep your cool. Hey, we're going to do this thing. We're going to go from here to here.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do if my kid resists, though, and digs his heels in.
Okay. Breathe in. React as the stream reacts.
Just keep on going. But I don't want to yell, though. I don't want to have to yell because I know I will yell.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, so the stream is cool. The stream is consistent.
It's consistent. Yes.
No one turns it on in the morning. No one turns it off. It's always going.
It just goes.
So there's something with that. I love the stream. I live by Britain's longest river, which is the River Severn's 220 miles long. I love it because I learn from nature. So what is it? What is nature teaching you? What is it? What is it that you can learn? What is it that? Here's another one.
It's consistent.
Color. It's consistent. So we're doing something there as well in the brain. So give me a color. What color? What's the main color?
Let's do blue.
Blue. Okay, so we're doing blue. Okay, so you got blue. And is there okay, you've got a stream, but is there a shape that goes with it as well?
Triangle.
Okay, excellent. So triangle, I love about triangles. There's 3 points to it. What 3 points do you really need to know? What would you need to know, deeply need to know, in order to be free of this?
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Absolutely. Excellent. This too shall pass. So it's like water off a duck's back in the stream or whatever is there. This too shall pass. Ah, Dad, no. So imagine this man is a superhero. He has 2 kids. Okay, so they're challenging children. All right, okay, like all children are. We were all children once. We're gonna test boundaries. What else? What other point? What else would you need to know?
You can do it.
You can do it. Okay, you can do it.
Keep your cool. Don't flip out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But even if you did flip out, literally of the raft or whatever,
out of the boat, you get back in.
You'd still go downstream.
You get back in. You don't beat yourself up over it. You'd say, I'm going to get back in and I'll just do a little better next time.
Uh-huh.
I talk to you. The biggest issue with my stress with kids, and parents listening will probably empathize. It's all around time constraints. You have to do this thing, but this thing requires you to do this thing now because we're going to be late. And that's going to create more problems. If there's no time constraint, it's like, go upstairs, go to timeout. We're going to lose this thing. Sit in the corner for 10 minutes, right? But when there's a time constraint, it's like, oh, I don't have that ability to apply the consequence now. And if the consequence isn't right now, it's not real. It's not real to
Mhm.
you, right? Until it's
Mhm.
right there.
Mhm. Audience, I do not have all the answers because I don't have kids, but I have a lot of
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients who've got kids, and one of the biggest stresses in people's lives comes from relationships and children and work. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent, but you know, I think it's the hardest job in the world. I am an uncle. I'm a bit of a crazy uncle, and I can go in for a very short period of time and then go, how do these people cope like in this way? So, but it's being resourceful. That's the thing, being as resourceful as possible. So if what's one of the sayings from Einstein? You know, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what
Yep.
you've always got.
Yep.
So what does
Exactly.
that mean? It means be flexible. Tony Robbins' ultimate 4-step formula, which is clearly decide your outcome, take action, and then number 3, notice if you're getting nearer. And if you're not getting any nearer and it's the same thing over and over, change your approach. Number
Yep.
4.
Like
So
for
I'm a
me, yeah, for
go on.
me, like I look at my situation, like I yelled at my kids this morning, right? Because one of them did not want to get out in the car and wanted apples and almond butter and all these things while we were already 5 minutes late. And I'm like, oh, you've been up for an hour. You should have already gotten that an hour ago. We're going to have to miss that today. I
Mhm.
want that, right? It's like, okay, well, I think how I would have handled it differently has been like, hey, get out to the car fast, and maybe I can bring it out to you. But let's see how fast you can get out there. I would have used that to create um, better behavior to get him where I wanted to go. I would have used more leverage instead of just saying no. I would have just used that as a little carrot.
It's all that you can do. Just keep learning.
Mhm.
We are in an endless school. I learn constantly. I
Can you
learn
repeat
from
those four
this job.
things again that Robin said? Can you repeat the what is it, three
Okay,
or
so
four
the
things?
ultimate, it's
Yeah,
very American. I'm
yeah,
British, so I remember
yeah,
when I got this, the ultimate 4-step success formula. Okay.
yeah.
Number 1, okay. Number 1, clearly decide your outcome. Now we're
Mm.
using that's clear. Clear means vision, but
So
it
in my
doesn't just mean
situation,
vision,
I want my
auditory, and
kids to
kinesthetic.
get their butts in the car when they're done their breakfast and not drag their feet.
Right. So, but part of you is dragging the feet. So you've still got that image. So go to the complete outcome of seeing it, feeling it, and hearing it as done in the way that
Right,
you would wish for it to be done.
right. I
Close
see
your eyes
them.
just
They
for
they
briefly.
yeah,
Just imagine it done. Imagine it done.
yeah.
Imagine it done. 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 Imagine it done.
My kids finish their sausage and eggs. They put their plates in the sink. They wash their hands. They grab their bag, and they go right to the car.
Hmm.
That's my vision. Put their shoes on, right to the car.
Okay. What's the auditory like?
Oh, it's just smooth. There's no fighting. There's no bickering. Yes, Dad.
How does it feel?
It's smooth. I'm finishing up washing dishes. I'm maybe making my little collagen coffee, getting it in a little to-go mug so I can
Okay.
sip it on the way to school.
So you can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it. That's your outcome.
It's just smooth. Yes,
Okay.
Dad.
So
Got it.
excellent. So now you need to take action, Dr. J. You need to take action. And you've been taking action because that has been your outcome. But it doesn't always happen because you've got these little human beings that just go, no, don't want to do it. No, want to do this instead. No, no. Oh,
Okay,
man.
so
This is,
step
yep.
one, what I want, right? Step two,
Wish. I like the word wish. That comes from NLP.
oh,
Why do I use the word wish so much? Been using it 8 years.
positive association.
Magical. It's a
Magical, positive
magical
association.
wish.
Yes.
Poof, wish. Okay. So use the word wish. So it's something I got rid of the word wash. Want. Wish. This is what you wish.
Yep. Got it.
Okay. Take action.
Okay, what's
Excellent.
the
You've been
action?
taking action.
Yeah,
You've been
taking
taking
action.
action. Some of the action works. Number 3, you know that some of the action works. So notice. That's all. Step 3 is notice. Notice. So notice what's working.
How's the outcome? Is it working? Are you happy with the result?
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm gonna
Some
provide
bits are going to
more
be
of
good, but probably not
I'm
all.
I'm gonna
Okay.
provide more of a carrot to get my kids in the car.
Okay.
Instead of digging in and creating a fight there, I'm gonna say, get in that car and let's see if I can get you some apples based on how fast you go.
Okay.
That,
So
that's
it's
that's
being,
the new that's the new behavior. Instead of me getting mad and saying, get to the car and yell,
yeah,
I'm gonna now create a little bit of a carrot to motivate them to get to the car.
it's being as flexible as possible. If you think about the tree in the winter, the one that's going to survive the winter is the one that's most flexible. If there's the storms and the snow on top and everything else, it's being as flexible. Those that are most flexible will survive, and those that are most flexible will achieve their outcomes. because then you're saying to yourself, I don't care what it takes, this is my outcome. And then that's where it can become really, a lot of fun, because you can be as crazy as you like. It's about getting your outcome. What do you wish to experience? Okay.
I'm gonna let you keep on talking. I have to use the restroom. I can still hear you though. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Keep
All
keep
right.
rolling.
Okay.
Keep rolling.
So what is it that you wish to experience? So I'll share this with people that in 2016, I was very aware of this word want, and people talk about what they don't want. They talk about what they do want. But the thing with want, there's a lot of force with want. And there's something that I do, which is Enneagram mentoring. And I look at that, which is it's part of coaching people, and I help people to become more healthy within their Enneagram type. Each Enneagram type has positives and negatives, and we can do bad behavior and we can do good behavior, really. But each type is wanting something. So we're either wanting control all the time, we want security all the time, or we want love and approval. So everybody who's listening to this is going to be somewhere in the middle. And somewhere within one of those three. But there's a constant state of wanting all of the time. What about wishing? See, the wishing comes from the heart. The wishing comes from the 40,000 neurons. When we talk about wishing, we're also inviting the magic that comes from childhood with the genie and the lamp. And there's something that becomes Disney-esque with that. It becomes something where whatever limitation is going on, the magic genie can solve it. It can, we think about, we have the lamp, you have 3 wishes. So there's no limitation. There's no limitation there. And the crazy thing is that the only thing that's stopping you from manifesting your outcome, whatever that is, whether it's peace, health, wealth, it doesn't matter what it is, financial abundance, fantastic relationships, is this. We might say it's external things, but everybody's got external things. There's always going to be some challenge. But the reality is there's nothing that can stop you from manifesting what's deeply in your heart, because you will continue. Even if it takes a while, you won't then lose heart. It might be challenging. There might be tough experiences, like Dr. J, you're talking about with your kids, and thinking, oh my, I've been so flexible with these kids. I've done so many things. What else do I have to do? Well, great. Good question. Maybe you've got to keep being even more flexible. But there's going to be something where it's going to be like Mary Poppins. They're going to get in the car really quickly for whatever reason. They're also going to evolve beyond 6 years old, and they're going to be a little bit easier to handle as they grow up.
Yeah.
There's always that as well.
Exactly. Can you repeat those 4 again? Just list them out bullet point style.
Okay, number 1, clearly decide what it is that you wish to experience.
Wish, not want, wish. Yeah. Number 2.
Take action.
Number 3.
Notice. Are you nearer or are you further away?
4.
If you're further away, be flexible.
Be flexible. What do you do? How do you interact with people that are dreamers? They're just only think about what it is they want on the first step, but they don't get to the do. How do you get the dreamers to then take action?
I don't get these as clients, but those people in life.
Again, people that are reaching out to you are already self-selecting because they're running through a lot of hoops.
I think those people find comfort in fantasy and in that kind of make-believe land, probably because they've tried to take action before and they've experienced pain, and then they've gone, you know what, I'm never going to take action again. I'm never going to do it. That's it. So I'll stay in fantasy land instead. Well,
I think one thing you told me before, because in my book, I was trying to get people to take simple actions. And I was like, well, what can we do? We talked about the principle of Kaizen, right? Take one little step.
Yeah.
Like what's one? Okay. So someone's trying to get healthy, right? What's one step? Let's just try tomorrow, just to make sure what you drink is just clean, filtered, clear water. That's it. That's all you're going to do. You can eat McDonald's, you can stay up all night, but what you're going to drink is just clean, filtered, clear water. And if you're used to drinking beer and alcohol and soda, you're going to feel a tremendous difference just having clean fluids going into your body. Then you feel a little bit better. You did it, you applied it, you get a dopamine hit, and you're like, maybe tomorrow I'm going to try to get to bed before midnight. And you apply one more thing, and then the dopamine propels you to the next thing, to the next thing. And it's that one single step.
Yeah, this is what one small step could you take that would produce no more than a 3 out of 10 in resistance that would help you to move towards an amazing life? Or without amazing life, you put in what you wish in there instead.
I
Often
love that. I
the
love that.
the so what one small step could you take that would produce no more than a 3 out of 10 in resistance? If you, it may be even less, 2 out of 10 in resistance, maybe 1 out of 10 in resistance, that will help you move towards the outcome that you wish to experience. So that way, you're asking yourself a question. It's like putting that into Google. You'd come up with a whole load of responses. But imagine putting into Google, why am I a loser?
Right.
Why am I a victim? Why am I blah, 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 blah. It's focused on the negative. So this way you're focused on the positive, focused on the very thing that you wish to experience, and then you're thus using your mind rather than have your mind use you. I still have stress, I still have anxiety in my life, but that's because I'm moving towards the very thing that I wish to experience constantly, more and more. There's not huge amounts of it, but there's more as I get nearer to the
Yeah.
reality that I wish to experience, because it hasn't been my reality yet. But I have changed my life so much, like I have done with my clients over the years, and I'm used to that feeling of uncomfortability. This is something else also that's an important thing. Get used to being uncomfortable slightly. If we just choose for comfort all the time, we're gonna struggle. Life is this um, ever flowing, constantly, like the river, shifting and changing. It's always flowing, and it feels uncomfortable because part of the unconscious likes familiarity. It wants to stay. It likes to stay with the unpleasant present. It might not be completely unpleasant, but at least we'll stay in what we know, because at least we're safe here. But whatever the outcome that you wish to experience, take action and move towards it.
And by the way, I love that thought. This image always comes to me right here. I'm going to just put it on screen. You talked about the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Pull it up here. Right? We talk about comfort zone, right? Here's success. Success is always just outside of your comfort zone. So the more comfortable you
Give
get
me the golden cup.
being outside of
Absolutely.
that's where you can, that's where most of the success and that's where most of the enjoyment and the satisfaction exists right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Well, anything else, Daniel, you want to leave the listeners with?
What have I got here? I wrote something down earlier. So if you're in a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, do trigger the vagus nerve. So this is something that you can
Mm,
do via going into cold water immersion. If that's too much for you, cold showers,
yes.
or
Yes.
getting in a bathtub full of cold water. You can just put cold water on your face. So you could
Hmm.
literally just put cold water and just splash it, splash it, splash it. There's also a bag of frozen peas, and if you put it here, just about
Yep.
here, it's going to
Vagus
trigger the
nerve. Yeah.
vagus. Don't know if you can bring up the vagus nerve or a picture of the vagus nerve or
Hmm.
something, but yeah, it's so it goes sort of here, goes all the way down to the side of here. But if you get a bag of peas or get an ice pack, just put it here. After about 10 or 15 minutes, you're triggering the parasympathetic. You'll just have sort of waves of relaxation come in. It's something that can be beneficial. If you're going through lots of stress, lots of anxiety, it'll promote a sense of healing in there.
Yeah. So you can see out of the gate, vagus nerve starts at the brainstem right here. Number 10, cranial nerve right here. And the vagus nerve, literally, Vegas means the wanderer. And so you can see it
Ah,
wanders
yeah,
throughout the body. So
meandering.
you goes
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the heart. So you can see in that heart area, you're going to have a lot of inputs of that ice bag right in this area. And you can see lungs. So you have the lungs here, the heart right over in here. So just getting it there. The intestinal tract, right, for digestion. So it goes throughout the intestines, kidneys, bladder, the genital area. reproductive organs, etc. So you can see just starts all the way top of the brainstem, probably right back here, and works all the way down. And the
Yeah, trigger the
parasympathetic
vagus nerve.
innervation is very important for rest, digest, and recover. So yes, you talked about cold. I love cold. I start every day for the last decade with a cold shower. I kind of go back and forth for like 5 or 10 seconds. So it's front of the body, spine. Then I
Get
go
used to
across
being
the
uncomfortable
shoulders.
just a little
I
bit.
go I go across the shoulders for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then I put my face up and I drink the water as it hits me, and then I stay till I just start to get a brain freeze, and then I turn my water off. And that's
Cool.
like that's all right. That's my saturation point. But yeah, it
Yeah,
feels quite amazing.
yeah, yeah. I've been doing
It,
it for quite a while as well, and it's just a great experience, and you get waves of relaxation, and you get a buffer zone to be able to deal with stress throughout the day.
yes. And
It
and there's something to be said for being uncomfortable, and that's the hard part with kids, right? Especially if you're a parent. Every parent wants to do better than their parents, and as you get more successful, you have more comforts in your life. I mean, just think about
Yeah,
air conditioning and on-demand movies. Just think about 50, 60 years ago, there was no air conditioning. Like there was no TV, there
no,
was no movies. Like
no.
maybe 100 years ago, no car, right? It's like, think about how much more comforts you have, and your kids get to be the benefactor of that. But also, you want to create a little discomfort because that's adversity, and adversity builds character. So it's good to have that. The cold stuff, I'll have my kids do some cold showers just to get them a little bit uncomfortable.
Well done.
And it's good.
Yeah, I think we live in a modern world that does. It's a consumerism world where you can have anything that you want. It's that word "want." What do you want? What do you want? Just I want to feel good. All right, you can have this and have that. If your relationship's no good, you can just swipe to the left or swipe
Yeah,
to the right. And
right. Exactly.
as opposed to a lot of marriages will go through stress and challenges, and like all relationships, you've got to work through it. So it's too easy just to go, oh, I don't want this discomfort. How do I get rid of it? But actually, there's a lot to be said for, like you were saying all that stuff. My mum tells me sort of like when I was a little girl and growing up, sort of like we woke up and we could see our breath in the winter.
Yeah.
And it would be there, the
Yeah.
challenges. I said to my grand, sort of like, when you were pregnant, like who had the phone? Like, was there a phone? And she goes, oh, there was one phone in the street. How did people cope? It's amazing.
Well, happiness is not a steady state. It's not like, hey, I'm here, right here on the happiness chart, and I'm staying there. Happiness is the general trend line. You're going to go up, you're going to go down, up and down. Ideally, that trend is this way, but there's going to be some downs that propel you to the new up. And you got to be okay not being there all the time. It's okay. That's life. We learn from it.
Part of the component of happiness is actually satisfaction, and we only get this feeling of satisfaction when we get good feelings of well-being from doing things that are hard. Anything that you've done that's challenging and hard, guess what? Your brain, you get free drugs at the end of it, because your brain is like little going, yeah, I'm pretty happy with myself for doing that. Whether it is a cold shower, whether it is going to the gym, whether it is whatever the challenge is. If you're just seeking pleasure, which is another component of happiness, you're going to struggle. That's where a lot of people struggle, because the comfort is in pleasure. I need to keep going to pleasure. No, well, actually, happiness is also there in uncomfortability. So it's the other side of pleasure. So you're not getting a dopamine hit right away, but you'll get one after, because you've done something that's hard.
It's about delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is key.
Delayed gratification, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I remember reading that in The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck a long time ago.
Yeah. And we can go think back to the marshmallow study where they gave a kid a marshmallow. They said, hey, you wait 10 minutes, we're going to give you a second marshmallow. They went back behind the glass and they watched the kids, and they said, you see them because they're talking out loud. They're like, I really want this marshmallow. I really, really, really want it. But if I wait 10 minutes, I get a second one. And they're thinking and they're talking out loud, and some would eat it. Some would wait 10 minutes and get the second one and eat both. And they kind of looked at kids 10, 20 years later and looked at their level of success and what they achieved in their life financially.
Ooh, interesting.
And they saw the level of success was greater with the kids that waited. And so there's a delayed gratification component in life as well that allows success to manifest, because you got to delay gratification.
And it's success in all things. I mean,
all things, emotional, physical, mental, financial.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. You measure it in all ways.
But it's about growth as well. It's like, and I look at nature. Nature doesn't do this. Nature does things incrementally. It does things. What did I get the other day? There's there's growth in vulnerability. When we're vulnerable, is that painful?
Yeah.
Is it pain? Growth is painful. We talk
Can be.
about it, don't we? Talk about growing pains. Well, okay, can be. Yeah, true. It's
Mhm.
not all the time, but there's a lot to be said for going to the uncomfortable place of becoming vulnerable. If you do that in relationships, your relationships will grow. If you just stay with what you know and you don't allow yourself to be comfortable, you're not going to grow as much as what you could do, which is dropping into your heart and going, okay, right. What do we
And
need
it's
to discuss
impossible.
here?
It's impossible to get stronger without having a little soreness in between workouts, right? It's impossible. There's going to be that little bit of down. So I think that's so important to kind of realize we have that physical soreness. Well, we have that mentally and emotionally and spiritually as well. So I think that's so important, Daniel.
It's very true. Very
Well,
true.
anything else you want to leave the listeners with? I mean, I'll put your link down below here, guys. If you want to reach out to Daniel, his site and link to schedule a consult with him will be down below in the link below. Anything else, Daniel, you want to leave the listeners
Put
with?
anybody who's listening, put any questions that you've got in the videos, and I might will visit back and answer any questions. No,
And you have a
I've got
YouTube channel
masses
as
of
well.
my YouTube channel is Daniel Hill Coaching. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, and you can find about 1,000 videos I think I've uploaded over the years.
And we'll put the link to your website. Imagine on your site, they'll probably be able to link to all those places from your website, and there'll be a link to
Yes,
schedule a call worldwide. All right,
absolutely.
Daniel, awesome chatting with you. Let's do it again soon.
And you, Dr. J, all the best.
All right, take care. Bye now.